Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Solskjaer slump is over. Manchester United are ready to put the bad start to the season behind them. And Solskjaer will work to get Manchester United on a big winning run. Now Solskjaer is under pressure. Manchester United have only won 2 of their last 6 games in all competitions. Manchester United are winless in the last 2 league games. But earlier on this season, he said Man United are still fully committed to Solskjaer and have no plans to replace the club legend as manager, despite a topsy-turvy start to the season. Solskjaer has run out of excuses. We've got a good squad. It's a title-winning squad. So, in reality, we should be winning the Premier League this season. Plus, Solskjaer received very good backing in this year's summer transfer window. John Murtough backed him. John Murtough is our director of football. Not so long ago, John Murtough said, "We need to keep control and we will not deviate from the plan." Darren Fletcher also backed him in the summer transfer window. Ed Woodward has also backed Solskjaer. Woodward is leaving Manchester United. It got announced he was leaving back in April when that European Super League came into the equation. Woodward has had a 16-year association with the club. By the way, Richard Arnold will replace Ed Woodward as a chief vice executive in January. And the Glazers also backed Solskjaer, only because they'd been persuaded to. Now, like I said to you this morning, Solskjaer's daunting run of fixtures. Can his Manchester United defence cope? Man United face Leicester, Liverpool, Tottenham, Man City, Arsenal and Chelsea in the next 45 days. So that's a make or break period for Solskjaer. This season, Solskjaer has to win a trophy at Manchester United. He's not yet won a trophy as Man United manager. We haven't won anything since 2017. That's nowhere near good enough to our standards. This season is Solskjaer's 3rd full season as Man United manager. And I did mention at the start of this season that this season was going to be massive for Ole because he's got big expectations to exceed. Our board have got a lot of trust in Solskjaer. That explains why Solskjaer got given a new contract until 2024 in the summer. We made a mistake giving him that contract because I can assure Solskjaer will not see out that contract, and a lot of United fans will agree with me on that aspect. There's a lot of Manchester United fans like me that have got strong reservations about Solskjaer's decision making. Analysing the vast majority of the games Solskjaer's managed at Man United, he's been tactically naive. And Solskjaer doesn't have a proven pedigree as a manager, that's also a concern. Before us, Solskjaer managed Molde. He endured 2 spells at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles and that with them, but they're not a big club. And before Molde, he was at Cardiff and his record at Cardiff was terrible. He only enjoyed a short tenure at Cardiff. Solskjaer got sacked from Cardiff because he got them relegated. Ollie managed the Man United reserve team for a couple of years, so he watched some of the team grow and develop. But whatever happens regarding Solskjaer, we will always adore him because at the end of the day, he is a club legend. He endured 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance, and in December, Solskjaer will be celebrating 3 years as Manchester United manager. Do you think Solskjaer will get until the end of this season? Well, it depends on how results go from now. If results carry on like they did before the international break, then more and more pressure will mount on Solskjaer. There's obviously, United fans demanding Antonio Conte in to replace Solskjaer. You've obviously had some Man United fans demanding Zidane in to replace Solskjaer. But to be honest with you, if we did decide to eventually sack Solskjaer, it wouldn't really solve a great deal, because revert back to what I've said before, when we're inconsistent, and when we've been inconsistent, and when results aren't going our way, not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. It's never all the manager's fault, but obviously Ole is accountable for certain things. There's obviously certain players that have got to take responsibility. Because obviously there's still some players at Man United that are not good enough to represent the club. And like I said before, I didn't like the way the football club had been run for a long time. Solskjaer got appointed in as Manchester United manager in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. He's been permanent Manchester United manager since March 2019. We've spent 441 million under the Solskjaer era, and Solskjaer has signed 14 players. Ollie's also got rid of a lot of players since he's come in. He's loaned players out, and he's got rid of players permanently. I do like the way Solskjaer develops the youth. That's a positive, and Solskjaer's more or less given everybody their chances to express themselves, including the young players, like he assured he would do when he got appointed in as Man United manager. We've also extended a lot of players' contracts under Ole, which is a positive. Progress has been made under Ollie as well, because Ollie's got us to semi-finals. He got us to 3 semi-finals in his first full season. He got us to the EFL Cup semi-final last season. He got us to the FA Cup quarter-final. And last season he got us to the Europa League final, and that was his first major final as Man United manager, but unfortunately we didn't win it. So there you go. And last season Solskjaer got us a second place finish, and in his first full season he got us a third place finish. And we've got a very good away record in the Premier League under Ole. We are unbeaten in our last 29 Premier League away games. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League since January 2020. But what we've done away from home, we haven't been able to replicate that at home. We've been very poor at home. That's where most of our defeats are coming at Old Trafford. So Old Trafford, we need to replicate what we're doing away from home. But in general, I've got to give Solskjaer credit and say he has done a good job. To say the current squad he was left with when he got appointed in as Man United manager. And I didn't expect Solskjaer to do as well as he has done, so in that aspect, I'm shocked. But, I have heavily criticised Solskjaer a lot during his managerial tenure at Man United, but I've had my reasons behind it. But despite that, I still think he is our best manager since Ferguson. He's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson, because 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson. We sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Moyes is probably the worst manager we've ever had. We finished 7th under the David Moyes era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years. We won the FA Cup under Van Gaal, and we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season, which was the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield, if you want to count the Shield. And he got a second place finish in his first season, so you can say Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United. But the reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players, and the board weren't backing the signings that Mourinho wanted to recommend in. Obviously, we know Solskjaer or no other manager is going to replicate what Ferguson did. Well, not in my lifetime, anyway. Now, recently, I gave you the news on Jesse Lingard. According to ESPN, Jesse Lingard is a target for Barcelona and AC Milan. Recently, Jesse Lingard rejected a new Man United contract offer because of 2 players. He said last month that Lingard rejected a Man United contract over playing time concerns. Lingard's current contract at Man United expires at the end of the season. Solskjaer's come out and said that he hopes Jesse Lingard stays. Prior to the West Ham game in the league earlier on this season, Solskjaer said Lingard will be a Man United player next season because he's red through and through. Last season, Lingard enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he did very well. West Ham wanted him in this year's summer transfer window, but they didn't get him. We was demanding like 25 million and West Ham was struggling to meet that asking price. You also know the news on Paul Pogba. Andy Mitten from The Athletic has said that Man United have offered Paul Pogba a £400,000 a week contract to stay at Manchester United. It would see Pogba become the second highest earner at Man United. At the moment, Pogba receives around £290,000 a week. Well, the other week it said Pogba wants to stay at Man United and he wants to sign a new £400,000 a week contract. And Paul Scholes has even backed Solskjaer to stay at Man United. Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Earlier on in the season, or was it before the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract. Earlier on this season, he said Pogba's very likely to leave Man United on a free next summer. Now, it's recently said that Paul Pogba has been offered to Barcelona. Spanish publication AS have said that Real Madrid are back in the race to sign Pogba on a free transfer when his contract at Manchester United expires at the end of the season. Real Madrid think Pogba could help convince Mbappe to join next year. Real Madrid have been relentlessly linked with Pogba before, and at one point Pogba spoke about Real Madrid and his relationship with Zidane. The other week, Pogba refused to rule out a Juventus return. Pogba did admit that he always speaks to his ex-Juventus teammates. And earlier on this season, Pogba's agent Mino Raiola suggested that Pogba could return to Juventus from Man United on a free next summer. Pogba did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined us. PSG have been in for him. League 10 Sports said the other day that PSG are ready to offer $500,000 a week in wages to Pogba if Pogba decides to leave Man United next summer. And Inter Milan have been in for him before. So, yeah, reflecting on all of that, Pogba's had a long-running transfer saga. But Pogba has enjoyed a very good start to the Premier League season. He's already got 7 assists. He produced good performances for Man United in the last couple of months of last season. But at one point last season he was out with a thigh injury for a while. Sustained a couple of ankle injuries at Man United as well. Pogba did well on international duty with France recently. But Paul Pogba's agent, Mino Raiola, has done a lot of talking. Don't forget he made an announcement regarding Pogba back in December last year. He came out and said that Pogba's career at Man United was over. He's unhappy and he has to leave and he's got no intentions of extending his contract. All he was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement. Pogba's won 3 trophies at the club so far. This season is his 6th season at Man United since he rejoined. We paid 89 million for Pogba, so reflecting on that is our most expensive sign at the moment. We had Pogba when he was a lot younger under the Ferguson era, but had to let him go due to limited appearances. So there you go. And I'm expecting Manchester United to sell players next year. There's a very good chance that Donny van der Beek's going to be leaving in January. The reason is because Donny van der Beek doesn't get enough game time at Manchester United. So reflecting on that, I haven't had much of a perception on Van der Beek, but in general is a good player. Now it recently said Solskjaer's private view on Van der Beek became public. Solskjaer still believes Van der Beek has an Old Trafford future despite his lack of game time. Fabrizio Romano did reveal the other week that Van der Beek is planning to leave the club in January. The other week, Donny van der Beek's agent was said to be working hard on finding a new club for his client. Many clubs have been in for Van der Beek, Newcastle have been interested in him. It recently said from Calcio Mercato that Juventus opened talks with Van der Beek's agent. Barcelona have been in for him. Everton remain interested. Don't forget Everton were close to signing Van der Beek on loan in the summer transfer window, but Solskjaer rejected Van der Beek's exit. So there you go. Earlier on this season, Van der Beek told Solskjaer his best position. He reckons he'd be best served operating as a number 6 or as a number 8. And earlier on this season, Van der Beek spoke about his Man United future in an exclusive interview with Rio Ferdinand. And earlier on this season, Van der Beek was furious with Solskjaer as he was left on the bench in Man United's win over Villarreal. Van der Beek was spotted throwing chewing gum in the dugout, and he said, reflecting on that, Van der Beek will try to force a January transfer away from Man United following his Villarreal meltdown. But this season is Van der Beek's 2nd full season at the club. We got Van der Beek for 40 million, with add-ons included. He's under contract with Man United until 2025, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Like I said, there's a good chance Lingard will leave next year. He's planning to run down his contract. I want Manchester United to sell Fred next year because Fred isn't good enough to represent the club. We overpaid for Fred. We got him for 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. I've got to make an admission though, Fred was a superb player during his time in Ukraine. Martial, I think he'll leave next year. Martial doesn't really get in the team. Plus, he's not good enough to represent the club. I think Martial is finished at Manchester United. Now, there's a few clubs in for him. It said not so long ago that Newcastle want Anthony Martial, and Newcastle made formal contact with Martial's representatives not so long ago. Obviously, Newcastle are planning to spend big, obviously with the Saudi Arabians taking over them not so long ago. Man United will demand close to the 54 million they originally paid for Martial back in 2015. But it said earlier on this season that Man United are ready to sell Martial. First it said we'll demand around 40 million. Earlier on this season it said Barcelona are considering making a move next year. Martial's been a long-term target for Tottenham. Atletico Madrid were in for Martial last summer. Don't forget as well, Martial rejected the chance to join Lyon on loan on deadline day. And before the start of this season, Inter Milan wanted Martial to replace Lukaku because Lukaku went back to Chelsea. But before the start of this season, it said Solskjaer refused to sell Martial as he remains part of his plans. Ole seems to have a lot of trustworthy in Martial. Don't forget, Ole was the one that gave him that number 9 shirt. The best season I recall Martial having was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Last season, Martial was out with a knee injury for a while. Martial's been with us now for like 6 years and he's got 3 years left on his contract and he scored like 79 goals for Man United in all competitions. Edinson Cavani, I think he'll leave next year. I can't say I want him to leave though because Cavani has made an impact since he's come in. Cavani was out with injury earlier on this season. Cavani's got under a year left on his contract. It was back in May Cavani signed that 1 year contract extension and he's on over £200,000 a week. The other week though, it said Real Madrid want Cavani on loan in January. And I think Barcelona could reignite their interest in January because Barcelona try to get Cavani on deadline day in the summer transfer window. Well, Cavani's initially lost his place in the team with us re-signing Ronaldo. But I think he'll get his way back into the team now because, as you all know, we're considering a formation change which will allow Solskjaer to play 2 strikers and I presume it will be Cavani and Ronaldo, which will be good to see. Juan Mata, he'll leave next year as well. Juan Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer. Earlier on this year, we extended Juan Mata's contract for another year. I can't really understand why we extended his contract for another year. But we did. You know, Juan Mata's lost that yard of pace, plus he's aging up. But despite that, he's had a good career at Man United. You know, Juan Mata's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. And he's been with us now for like 7.5 years, so he's been a long-serving player. The first part of last season, he rejected an 18 million a year contract offered to play in Saudi Arabia. And we got Mata from Chelsea back in 2014 for 40 million. We brought him in under the David Moyes era. I think Tellez will leave next year. I think Jones will leave next year. Bailly could leave next year. And I think Diego Dalot will leave next year. And Dean Henderson may go out on loan. He said earlier on this season he wants a loan move away from Man United after De Gea reclaimed the number 1 spot back. So there you go. But yeah, there is quite a few players, you know, that don't get in our team. You know, Mata doesn't get in our 11. Tellez doesn't really get in the team. He only played recently because Luke Shaw had a minor injury and he was out with illness. Bailly and Lindelof don't really get in the team now. Obviously, they'll get their chances now because obviously Maguire's out and so too is Varane. But when they're back, they'll find it hard to get in the team. Jones doesn't get in our 11 either. Dean Henderson doesn't get chances now because, like I said, De Gea's reclaimed the number 1 spot back. You know, De Gea's done well so far this season anyway. Matic doesn't get in the team much either. Donny van der Beek doesn't get enough game time. Lingard doesn't get in the team much, but he's played a few games this season. Amad Diallo doesn't really get in the team either. He's made a few first team appearances, and at the time I did say that Amad Diallo looks a good asset for the first team squad. But like I said early on in the video, we've got a very, very good team, us. You know, we've got the best player in the world in Ronaldo. Like I said, I'm expecting Ronaldo to start tomorrow against Leicester. I can't believe he didn't start against Everton before the international break. And Solskjaer got criticised for that, not starting Ronaldo. But Solskjaer said he had no regrets over not starting Ronaldo. Neville even mentioned that Ronaldo was annoyed with Solskjaer after that game against Everton. Ronaldo obviously got named Premier League Player of the Month for September, and he recently scored a hat-trick for Portugal against Luxembourg. We've got Rashford, that's good. Rashford's in contention to play tomorrow. Rashford is now back from injury. Rashford was out with a shoulder injury for a while. Don't forget he had to have surgery on his shoulder, and not so long ago Rashford scored twice in that behind closed doors game against Blackburn. If we start Rashford tomorrow, I think he'll go on the left because that's where he's mostly effective. He's far superior on the left wing to how he is on the right wing and up top. It's not guaranteed Rashford will start tomorrow, but if he doesn't start, he could still play a part. He could come off the bench. You've got Mason Greenwood, that's also very good. I think he's done well so far this season. I think he's been an absolute revelation since he broke into our senior squad, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like I said, you've got Cavani, that's good as well. Sancho's a good player, but Sancho's not enjoyed a good start to his Man United career, but it does take some players time to settle in. And I've said Sancho will do well, providing Solskjaer uses him correctly, but Solskjaer's played Sancho out of position quite a few times. He's played him on that left-hand side a few times, hasn't he now? So I think, at the moment, Solskjaer's failing Sancho at Man United. Bruno Fernandes is obviously very good. Van de Beek's good, but he doesn't get enough game time. Pogba's good. I hope he stays, like I've already mentioned to you. Luke Shaw's a very good left back. He's been a bit out of form so far this season, though. He was far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. Hopefully, as this season goes on, Luke Shaw, will get better. Don't forget, he's just come back from minor injury and illness. You've got Varane, that's a good centre-half as well. As you all know, he's out for a few weeks, though, with a groin injury. Maguire's good when he wants to be. He's had his good games at Man United, he's had his bad games. He's no longer injured, Maguire, but he said not so long ago he's not yet returned to full training. Baye's good centre-half. And Wan-Bissaka's a good right-back, even though there's aspects of his game that need to improve. And Wan-Bissaka's one of the best right-backs we've had since Gary Neville. And, you've got De Gea, that's a very good goalkeeper. He's done really well so far this season. And Dean Henderson's a good goalkeeper as well. Henderson did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care, God bless, see you all again very soon.